The American Revolution is often remembered as a clean struggle for freedom, patriots versus tyrants, liberty triumphing over oppression. But the real story behind the American Revolution is far more complex, shaped by fear, compromise, economic pressure, and deeply divided loyalties. It was not a sudden uprising fueled by pure idealism, but a slow-burning conflict born from decades of tension between the American colonies and the British Empire. For much of the 18th century, the American colonies were loyal to Britain. Colonists considered themselves Englishmen, proud of British law, culture, and protection. The turning point came not from a desire for independence, but from the cost of empire. After Britain's victory in the French and Indian War in 1763, the empire was drowning in debt. Parliament looked to the colonies to help pay for their own defense, introducing new taxes such as the Stamp Act and the Townshend Acts. To British officials, these taxes were reasonable. To colonists, they were an alarming violation of their rights. The colonies had no representatives in Parliament, and the slogan, "No taxation without representation," captured a growing sense of injustice. Resistance followed boycotts, protests, and the formation of groups like the Sons of Liberty. Still, most colonists hoped for reform, not revolution. Tensions escalated in 1770 with the Boston Massacre, when British soldiers fired into a crowd, killing 5 civilians. Patriot leaders used the incident as powerful propaganda, portraying British troops as brutal occupiers. In reality, the event was chaotic and fueled by fear on both sides. Yet it deepened mistrust and hardened attitudes throughout the colonies. 3 years later, the Boston Tea Party pushed relations to the breaking point. Disguised as Native Americans, colonists dumped British tea into Boston Harbor to protest taxation. Britain responded with the coercive acts, closing the port of Boston and tightening imperial control. Rather than isolating Massachusetts, these punishments united the colonies. The First Continental Congress met in 1774, marking a rare moment of collective colonial resistance. When fighting erupted at Lexington and Concord in April 1775, the war began almost by accident. British troops were sent to seize colonial weapons. Colonial militias mobilized in response. Shots were fired, and within hours the empire was at war with its own subjects. Even then, many Americans did not seek independence. The Continental Congress sent the Olive Branch Petition to King George III, hoping for reconciliation. The king rejected it. Only in 1776 did independence become a serious goal. Thomas Paine's pamphlet Common Sense transformed public opinion, written in plain language. It attacked monarchy itself and argued that separation from Britain was not only necessary, but logical. Paine's ideas spread rapidly, convincing thousands that independence was the only path forward. The Declaration of Independence did not instantly unite the population. In truth, the colonies were deeply divided. Historians estimate that about 1/3 of Americans supported the revolution. 1/3 remained loyal to Britain, and the rest tried to stay neutral. The war often resembled a civil conflict, with neighbors turning against each other and families split by loyalty. The revolution was also shaped by groups often left out of traditional narratives. Enslaved Africans sought freedom by escaping to British lines, where promises of emancipation were sometimes offered. Native American nations, fearing colonial expansion, largely sided with Britain. Women managed farms, ran businesses, and acted as spies and messengers. Keeping the revolutionary cause alive behind the front lines, victory was far from certain. The Continental Army suffered crushing defeats, shortages, and near collapse. Only with French support secured after the American victory at Saratoga in 1777 did the balance of power shift. The final triumph at Yorktown in 1781 effectively ended the war. Though peace was not formally declared until 1783, the real story behind the American Revolution is not a simple tale of freedom won overnight. It is a story of uncertainty, division, and survival. Independence emerged, not from unity, but from struggle. And the nation that followed would continue to wrestle with the meaning of the ideals it was born fighting for.